Tom, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Let's start with the beginnings of, I guess, an open question for the chair of the Judiciary Committee, whether or not to proceed with impeachment. Your thoughts?
Well, I looked at the announcement, and I didn't see any good faith basis for impeachment. This is an impeachment inquiry in search of something to impeach President Trump over. It's an abuse of power by the House Democrats to follow on the abuse of power of their allied politicians in the Obama administration, the deep staters who've been harassing President Trump, and it's the next phase of the coup. And, you know, there's one way to maybe cut this short, and I'd recommend that Senator Mitch McConnell, the majority leader of the Senate Republicans, say, you know what, there'll be no impeachment trial here. We're not going to we're not obligated to take up a garbage impeachment effort of pure harassment against President Trump. We're not going to waste the Senate time here, and we're going to shut it down. So there'll be no impeachment trial, and so at least we'll have one body of Congress saying no to this abuse of President Trump.
Well, it's an interesting idea, and it sounds workable. Let's turn to Judicial Watch and new State Department documents that you have gotten showing Hillary Clinton supporters' efforts to actually move classified information into the hands of various senators. What in the world? Is this evidence that the Obama administration was orchestrating a wide-open assault on the soon-to-be president of the United States?
It was a desperate last-minute effort by Obama appointees, as you point out, many of whom were Clinton donors, to push out to friendlies in the Senate, anti-Trumpers, both Democrat and Republican, supposed information classified on Russia. And the deadline was the president's inauguration. So if it were in the ordinary course, why the rush to put it out? They knew they were up to no good. In fact, the documents show that they were getting frustrated at having to follow the rules about the declassification or the approval of sending classified information to the legislative branch, and it looks like they were bypassing the rules to do so. So if I'm the Justice Department and I'm doing a criminal investigation, there's one thing they need to do, which is to move over to the State Department, and just as they may be looking at the Justice Department and FBI in terms of the coup-gate targeting of President Trump, because this is just the latest in a series of disclosures out of the Obama State Department showing that Fusion GPS, that whole gang, was using the State Department to launder the information to target President Trump as well. And again, colluding with Democrats in the House and the Senate. You know what? If there's an impeachment against President Trump, I look forward to President Trump's lawyers maybe bringing in House Democrats and House Senator and Senate Democrats who were colluding with this gang to try to take him out even before he was elected president.
It is outrageous. It becomes more outrageous with every document, email, text that we see amongst this group of.
And we got it without the IG, Lou.
Yeah.
Despite, we had to sue to get the information. Why are we still waiting to take action? The IG can't be the end-all and be-all here. We need the Justice Department to speed up their pursuit of justice.
I couldn't agree with you more, Tom. Let's turn very quickly to, speaking of justice, bipartisan justice, something to me, I can't recall a time when all 50 state attorneys general went after a antitrust target, but here we are, Google, they're in their crosshairs.
Well, I'm suspicious when both Republicans and Democrats agree and usually to go after one company. I would focus, if I were them, I would focus on Google's impact on our elections, the suppression of conservatives, their violation of the law that protects them from being sued. They pretend to be a neutral party, a bulletin board, more or less. But information shows that they suppress conservatives, keep their thumbs on the scale. And I don't know if that's an antitrust issue, but that needs to be the focus, as opposed to politicians figuring out what their market share and advertising dollars needs to be.
And we should remind everyone, Robert Epstein, the leading expert on the psychological effects of search engines and a pro-Clinton Democrat, said that Google's bias was sufficient to have shifted between 2.6 and 10.4 million votes in the 2016 presidential election. Stunning stuff. Tom, as always, great to see you. Thanks for being with us tonight.
You're welcome, Lou. Thank you.
Thank you.